Hi, I'm Droolbatz. So nice to see you. Today, I am going to be discussing the 2017 horror film Ghost House. I will be discussing it based on its premise, its production value and artistic qualities, and finally, how it stands apart from or blends into other films of the genre. I hope you enjoy. An American boyfriend and girlfriend are visiting Thailand for a fun vacation. They plan to do all the touristy things like, see the sights and buy fancy things and all of that. They meet a young man named Gogo who is going to be their driver and kind of their tour guide, and they get along with him really well. They notice that a bunch of the houses and buildings in Thailand have these smaller, almost dollhouse looking creations in front of them. Gogo explains that in Thailand, there's this custom of making a smaller house that you offer to ghosts so that they go into this ghost house instead of into your actual house. While they're seeing the sights, the boyfriend proposes to his girlfriend. They're engaged. Exciting. They meet two British guys back at their hotel. And when the British guys find out that they're engaged now, they're like, hey, we're all English speakers in this foreign country and you just got engaged. Let's go celebrate, hey. So they go out and have drinks, having a fun time. The British guys say, hey, we know this really cool spot. Come with us. The now engaged couple gets in this car and drives into the wilderness with these British dudes. They come across this place that has just tons and tons of abandoned ghost houses just everywhere, like a graveyard for ghost houses. While the fiancés are getting out of the car, one of the British dudes runs up and kind of messes with one of the ghost houses. The girl walks up and says, hey, and she starts seeing what they've messed with, and all of a sudden it's like she gets possessed. She sees this terrible, terrifying creature. The British dudes take off, abandon them like it was some kind of master plan. What the heck is going on? This movie is about standard length, about an hour and a half, so it's not going to be too much of a time investment if you're curious and want to watch this movie. The pacing was pretty solid, it clipped right along, and the suspenseful, scary factors were kind of a good blend of slow and ominous, kind of suspenseful, slow things, and then really in your face scares. So I don't think you'll be too bored. It's not too predictable in that way. The people who paced this movie did a really good job of spreading out the scares. The color scheme is kind of got that cool, murky look that a lot of digital movies have nowadays. A lot of the tones were dark, but not in a lighting dark way, but just in it has been digitally darkened kind of a way. They are in Thailand. They are doing a lot of touristy things. So you see a lot of the urban area and a lot of the nightlife of Thailand, but then you also see part of the wilderness, and then you see a smaller village area. This movie did a really good job of showing the audience member all of the different places that they went, and you got to see some really nice scenery and some cool things like that. So I thought they made really good use of the setting that they chose for their movie. As far as the ghost houses go, that's kind of a concept that we don't have in America, so I wasn't really expecting it. And I thought they did a really nice job of kind of showing the ghost houses and giving them their due, considering that's where the movie gets its title. So I thought that was cool too. Overall, I thought the acting was pretty decent. I had a little bit of an issue with the script itself, and I will talk about that. But as far as the acting goes, I thought it was really good. I thought they cast their actors and actress well. As far as the special effects go, it was a blend of traditional, scary, slow, suggestive scares. There were a few kind of jump scare-ish moments. There were also some elements of CGI versus some elements of costuming, if that makes sense. So there was quite a variety of special effects in this movie. This movie also had a lot of turning very slowly and then screaming. The main actress would be like that. There were so many scenes where she would turn slowly and then scream. Yeah, I thought the camera work was decent. Now I am going to be discussing how this movie stands apart from or blends into other films of the genre. I will be spoiling this movie, so if you don't want me to spoil it, please take this as your cue and leave now. If you want to hear what happens next, stick around. The fiancé couple is now stranded in the wilderness. They're able to hike through the scenic Thai wilderness, and the husband-to-be is able to call Gogo. He still has like a signal on his phone apparently, and he's able to call Gogo, who comes and gets them. The husband-to-be is like, hey, there's something wrong with my fiance. Take us to a doctor, quick. She's like collapsing and screaming and all this crazy stuff. Gogo instead takes them to his home village. They lay her down and they start, a bunch of the women start praying over her. They bring in a holy man. He puts like a special charm like on the girl's wrist. They pray over her all night. The American man doesn't believe in prayers working and kind of cuts them short after they've prayed all night, and they leave. While the village is praying over this woman, Gogo explains that there's this legend that they have that this Japanese woman, she kind of like left everything she had behind, her family, her possessions, her name, everything, to marry this man from Thailand whom she deeply loved. He cheated on her with a young, pretty servant girl. In a rage, this woman, Watabe, tried to light the house on fire while her husband and the girl he cheated with were inside, but they managed to both escape, and instead she somehow burned in the flames, and it was terrible. So now she tries to kill all these young pretty girls that she sees. So all the people in Thailand, they took a bunch of ghost houses that they knew had ghosts in them and made like a community of ghost houses, and they put the ghost house with Watabe in it as kind of the center, and she kind of became the caretaker of all these ghost houses. And they say that by concerning herself with caring for the other ghosts in these ghost houses, she's not like focused on killing all these young girls. But by going in and messing with the ghost house, they think that the American girl like kind of brought this on herself or whatever, and that's why Watabe is gonna get her. The American man does not believe this. He thinks it's stupid. They go back to the city. She takes her charm off so that they can have relations, and the ghost of Watabe appears at a very compromising moment, and the girlfriend starts screaming and running around the hotel. When the fiance realizes that things are kind of out of his control, he like commits her to a hospital, but then also starts seeking more spiritual help from this American dude named Reno. Reno basically says that this is a kind of a sympathetic magic curse where you can't really get rid of it. You have to like pass it on to someone else. So like probably one of the British guys' girlfriends was being haunted and possessed by Watabe, and by getting this girl possessed instead, it freed their girlfriend from the curse. They have to perform a big ritual to get rid of the ghost. They have to do it before the ghost gets her, which is like they have 3 days to do it, and 2 days have already run out, so like the clock is ticking. Okay. I'm not gonna say the whole movie here. As far as how this movie compares to other films of the genre, I actually very recently have watched a couple of other horror movies featuring Americans in a foreign country dealing with supernatural forces. This movie, unfortunately, kind of did that thing where it portrays American tourists as thoughtless jerks who are kind of flip and disrespectful to the country that they're in. So it kind of made it hard for me to sympathize. Watabe, you'd be saving us some trouble by like just taking them out right there. No, I'm just kidding. It's like not the actors, obviously it's whoever conceived this script. There were a few moments where they tried to paint the girlfriend as being sympathetic of the culture. Like she'd be like, babe, that's disrespectful, don't do that. Babe, we need to like research it. It wasn't really trying that hard. There's a scene where they go into like this cool outdoor market, and the boyfriend picks up some trinket and is like, look, and is like sticking it in his ear, and it's supposed to be like a blessing stick. Well, right at the beginning, actually, when Gogo runs out, it's like, hi, I'm Gogo, let me be your guide. They're like, is he for real? Oh. And it's just like, just being really disrespectful. After Gogo's village has spent all this time like praying over her and giving her a charm that'll like keep her safe and like all of this stuff, and basically kind of helping her reach a point of peace from Watabe, the husband-to-be kind of dismisses them as being like superstitious and weird and grabs his girlfriend. They leave, and he kind of just like writes them off. But then like later when he gets desperate, instead of actually listening to them, he goes to this other dude. It's like you're literally going to a weird drugged out American guy because you don't trust the Thai people's version of their own culture. Like, there's kind of this phenomenon in films called like the white man savior phenomenon, where somehow a white guy who's like not from Thailand knows all the Thailand magic and they go to him instead of the actual people who live in Thailand, who like literally know the story of Watabe and can like stop the curse. Instead he goes to this other guy, and this just kind of perpetuated that. And I guess it's not a huge issue if you don't want it to be, but if you're someone who doesn't like that in movies, you will find that in this movie, and there are quite a few horror movies that do that. So have you seen the movie It Follows? This girl dates this guy, they have intercourse, suddenly this mysterious creature starts following her, and basically this creature, it'll follow you until it kills you, and the only way to pass it on to someone else is to like pass the curse on by having intercourse with them, and so on and so forth down the line. In that movie, this girl was arguably victimized. Like, she liked this guy, but he didn't tell her he had this curse following, and so it starts following her. And there's not really a good way to break the curse yourself. You kind of just have to pass it on. So that's kind of not the same thing as what happened in this movie, but in this movie, like, the curse of Watabe, it can be passed from person to person, but supposedly there's not a way to break it yourself. It almost felt like the girl in this movie, the American girl who was being haunted by Watabe, was just a vessel for the phenomenon of the movie. She didn't really save herself. It was kind of the other people trying to like break the curse for her and stuff. And it almost felt like this movie is about this ghost hunting you, but you're not even the main character who does anything. It's not even like, I don't know, a political issue or like a feminist issue or anything. It made for kind of an unsatisfactory experience watching, and it very much called to mind It Follows with the whole like sympathetic magic. But in It Follows, the girl who got cursed by it tries to break the curse on her own, and she very much is kind of the one taking the battle into her own hands. And in this movie, the American girl did no such thing. So it just kind of felt a little bit unsatisfactory. Ultimately, the movie kind of lacked really heroic characters. The main couple, it was very hard to feel sympathetic for them because they were kind of rude, especially the husband-to-be, and they kind of like mocked the culture that they were there for, and then they got cursed, and it's like, it's kind of on you people. But whatever. If I had to rate this movie, I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. The acting was good, the pacing was excellent, and I thought the camera work was solid. I really enjoyed these scares and the special effects and kind of the blend of different types. So I feel like no matter what gets your goat will get got if you watch this movie. Most of the movie was just solid. I just didn't enjoy the story that much. I thought the concept of the ghost house was very cool. I'm not very familiar with Thailand or like anything about it, honestly. So I felt like I learned something cool with the ghost house concept. It was ultimately less a movie about like the ghost houses and just one specific ghost with an agenda hunting down this American girl, which is kind of like any ghost movie, honestly. So it just kind of fell flat for me story-wise, but there's definitely some gems to find in this movie if you are interested. I'd be really curious to know what you guys have to say. Have you seen this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? How do you think it compares to other films of the genre? Did you learn something new? Let me know if you have any opinions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this review was helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please leave a like if you liked this video. And if you like horror movie reviews, I do review horror movies. So consider subscribing if you enjoyed and would like to see more. Thank you so much. Have a great time. Bye.